time. No.
Okay, I think we're live.
Okay.
Can you
There
look at
we
the
go.
group and see if you can see us? You should be able to see us
Okay.
being live. Yeah, it looks like it worked okay. So,
Yep. Nope. That's a different one.
all right. Yeah, it looks like it's good. I'm on a Mac. I'm not usually on a Mac, but today I am using my Mac. So everything looks just a little bit different than what I'm used to.
Okay. I'm not.
I can
Do
see
you
it.
see us?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we're live.
Okay.
Okay. So we are talking specifically about letting go and welcoming in. And this is an event that Yvette and I have been planning for the last probably about a month. And I'm really excited about how it's shaping up. It's it's very important, I think, we were just talking about the whole idea of taking charge of your life. Because I'm sure for you, I was thinking about this earlier, as someone who is diagnosed with cancer, that happens to you,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
Like it's not like you decided that was what you were.
Exactly.
You got a diagnosis, you had to manage that diagnosis, you had to get proactive, and you did all the medical stuff, as well as incorporating all of this holistic side of things so that you could live your best life. And that's really what I see happening a lot. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't complain about our perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause symptoms, because, look at the list. If you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're having painful sex and you're fighting with your partner and you can't work your job, like these are
You're
legitimate.
screaming at your kids.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. These are not good things.
It's
Yes.
not good and it's not made up and we're not exaggerating. Right.
No.
And so we do need a place to say, this is what's sucking about, about what's going on. And then,
Right. It's happening to you, just like cancer happened to me. Menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause is happening to me. How I manage it is going to be key. How we all manage it is key.
mm, I think that's what I really want to emphasize more than anything else for everybody is that you do have a lot of control. Okay, you don't have control over whether you wake up, maybe, but you have control over what you do when you do wake up. So one person that I'm coaching with right now, she's using technology. There's nothing wrong with using technology. We are using technology right now. But when you reward your brain by looking at the phone or the tablet or whatever, and you get all that light coming
Yep.
into your brain through your eyes, you're rewarding that center, and your brain goes, oh, we should do that more. I'm going to wake up more. So you actually, it's kind of like giving the dog a cookie. Every time you
Right.
give the dog a cookie, you're training the dog to do that again to get another cookie. So, cutting off the technology, and the compromise we came up with was choose what you're going to listen to. So only auditory stimulation before you go to bed so that it's all queued up on your device. And if and when you wake up, you plunk in the earbuds and listen away and go back to sleep that way. So, that'll be up to her as to whether she actually does it. Because it is a lifestyle change and lifestyle changes are the hardest. So we want to talk about how we're preparing for this event, the letting go and welcoming in event. It's not free. There's a lot of prep work involved. I was wondering, how many hours do you think you've done already? Because I think I'm probably like 5 or 6 hours in of just preparing.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. About
Yeah.
5 or 6 hours, just trying to, and even if you're just sitting there thinking about what you want to let go of and bring in, that's part of the work process of it. So that absolutely at least that amount of time, because
Mm.
it takes time to come up with something that you really, really want to let go of and want to work on.
Yeah. And I see that you and I, like, we're facilitating this event, but I'm also doing it. Like
Yes, me
I
too.
went,
Yeah.
I went through and really, like, I've been really thinking about what are the things, and I've been putting a lot of prompts into the group so that even if people maybe can't afford or aren't available at that time, can still kind of work along with us and take advantage of what we're doing. And then, so I did a lot of writing last night. I like to handwrite my stuff in the Yoga Nidra practice. We write a script. So there's like a template kind of what we want to do to bring that person down into deeper and deeper states of relaxation. And these do go along with our sleep brain waves. So what happens is you'll eventually get to this deep state where the body is asleep, but the mind is awake. And that's a perfect time to plant these seeds of what we're bringing in, what we're letting go of. And I wrote something that's really, I think it's brilliant, actually, which is, people go, oh, she's so full of herself. I am not, because I'm also terrified to do anything as well. But I do, when I was thinking about it, our brain, our subconscious especially, works on symbols and cultural references, things that we can all kind of agree on an experience of what it might mean. And do you remember the 100 Acre Woods from
Yeah.
yeah,
Winnie the,
Winnie
yeah.
the Pooh? And so I was thinking about that cultural environment of the stories of Winnie the Pooh, and how there's so much acceptance of each individual character. Like, no one ever kicks Eeyore and says, quit it. They just know he's going to be, you know,
Eeyore. He's
he's going
just
to
going
be
to be
Eeyore.
Eeyore. Yes.
No
Yeah.
one ever, tries to get Kanga to stop bouncing, or Roo to stop being a kangaroo, right? There's a lot of acceptance. And so I'm using that general idea in a very subtle way to implant that same kind of understanding of ourselves, so that we can have that that ability to let go of these things that are troubling and keep happening. And that can include your symptoms. Like, I think that people really should, if they're having troublesome hot flashes, you want to let go of that.
Right.
If you're having trouble in your relationships, you want to let go of that. And then this is what I wanted to show. This is what I did for my list. Anytime I had something on one side, this is the easiest way for me to look at it. Letting go. So these are the problem areas.
Right.
And then what is the opposite on the other side?
Right.
And then tonight I'm going to rewrite this. So I have one page that's just, beautiful, like you were saying, using colors. And that's one that's letting go, so that I'm very clear on what it is I'm letting go. And then another page that's welcoming in, because that's the page that I'm going to keep and reference for, future events. Because I'm hoping that we can do this about every 3 months,
Right.
and kind of go with we're a little bit loosely along with the solstice and the
Yeah.
equinox,
Yes.
which I think is really powerful work. So, like the first one I had was judgment of myself and others.
Yes.
Because we've talked about this a little bit. Like, I have pervasive perfectionism in my background, being raised by a jazz musician and a troubled alcoholic. There was a lot of extremely high, like unrealistically high standards, I would say, even. And I've never been able to be perfect.
Yes. Me
And
either.
so I need to let that go. But how do you let go? Like, when you boil it down, if I'm looking at it, it's really a judgment, right? I'm judging myself as being not good enough, or, you know, not capable enough, or not worthy enough, and the opposite of that I chose, because it's the easiest one, is kindness.
Right.
Kindness is free. Kindness is easy. Kindness is not that hard to grasp usually, even if you're in
Mm-hmm.
a kind of negative state yourself. Um, and then I really want to focus on welcoming in overall the wise woman. I see myself transitioning now, and that's part of what happens through perimenopause and menopause. And I'm really hoping that that will be the end result. The end result will just be that I'll be sitting in the wisdom that I have my own. In yoga, we call that the Sat Guru, which is your own personal guide that goes with you in your life. But that I will be living from that place more and more often, dwelling in that wise woman. So, do you have anything in there on your list that you want to share? How did you organize yours? Did you do a column or did you do different papers, or?
I did. I actually went to my list on my iPhone. So mine let me just see. It says it looks kind of like this. I don't know if you can see it better this way, I guess. Anyways, it's a list. And the first thing is what I'm letting go of, what I want to bring in. And then I actually have a section on resolutions. That's just for me. It won't be part of the event, but it's a different kind of thing. An intention is different than a resolution. And I wanted to make sure that I was clear in what I was writing. So if I came up with something that sounded more resolution, I put it in that column so I didn't get it confused with the letting go and the bringing in. Because, you know, decluttering my house is not something that is part of my intention. It is a goal, it is a resolution to do something. But, you know, one of my intentions was to bring in, last year, my intention was to use more loving, kind words and to stop myself from not. I am continuing with that because it was a struggle this year for some parts of the year.
Yeah.
And I'm not done with this yet. So I need to work on this some more. And it doesn't mean that I go around calling people names and I'm not. It means that I have to stop for a second and say, oh yeah, you know what? They're probably having a bad day. I'm in line at the grocery store and I'm going, why are you taking so long counting your pennies? I don't know why they're counting their pennies. Maybe that's all they have. And that's okay. I don't have to rush. I'm okay. If I do have to rush, then, you know, go in a different line, figure it out. But saying something out loud that's negative isn't going to resolve the problem. Honking your horn in traffic isn't going to solve the problem. So I'm trying to do that. I have to continue working on it. And I have a lot of chaos in my head. So I need to sort the chaos out and bring it out and let it go. So I am letting go of that chaos in my head and going, I'm not having these combos in my head. They're going to go away.
Yeah.
I don't need these combos. They're not necessary. Go away. So I'm going to do that. What I want to bring in is another thing is healthy boundaries. So I don't have those combos in my head. So it's a yin and a yang thing, like Jessica was saying. So I have, you know, in my columns, there's one thing that says, oh, do this, but let go of that. Bring in this and let go of that. It's the same thing. And I'm doing that as well. And I have my little list of things and I'm going like, you know, I need a healthy thought process.
Yeah. Because that's the opposite, right? Like chaotic, disruptive, ruminating thoughts. The
Right.
opposite is having clarity of thought, which ultimately isn't really like, you know, like you can't control the dumb little thoughts that come into your mind. You're gonna have just this thought come into your head, but you can control whether you ruminate on that thought.
Right.
So that's really good. And I wanted to share this one. I have a lot of self-doubt. And there's this thing called imposter syndrome that basically says no matter how much training you have, or how many degrees you have, or how many gurus you've had, or whatever, you're not really the one to say, who are you to say, blah, 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 whatever it is. Why are you the one running this group? And I have people actually ask me that because they don't feel that I'm well trained. And then I tell them all my trainings and they're like, oh, okay, you're actually probably overtrained in a lot of ways to be doing what you're doing. But, you know, it is what it is. And I want to let go of that self-doubt. So really asking myself, okay, so what is the opposite of doubting yourself? Is it really confidence? Because, you know, I mean, I don't think that I have a problem with confidence. You know, if I need to do something, I know how to just make myself do it and do it with a smile on my face and pretend like I know what I'm talking about because I'm a musician. I'm trained on stage since I was 6 years old.
Right.
But I came up with an interesting one, feeling at home.
Oh, yes. That's very good. Very, yeah.
Like self-doubt, isn't that somehow, you know, you're not really sure about what you're offering, or you're not really sure about what you have, you know, or who you are, or those things. And then feeling at home means that you have that security in yourself to really do anything that you want.
Right.
So
Right.
sometimes the opposite might not be like super obvious, and it might take a little bit of, thinking and writing things out. And that's why I've been talking so much about preparing for this event in the group, because I don't want people showing up and being like, haven't really thought about it. I guess I want to lose weight. So this might be arguable, but don't you think we would all probably say, oh yeah, I could probably lose 5 pounds. I mean, maybe that's an overgeneralization, but of the comments that I see and the people that send me messages, usually weight is an issue. So I didn't have a lot of emphasis on that, but I did say extra weight because I feel like I have some extra weight that's not contributing to my well-being. And then I put on the opposite of that, more strength.
Okay, that sounds really good.
Right? Because it's not like I want to lose the weight. I want to create more strength in my life.
Right.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you found interesting when you were doing your kind of...
Well, with us talking a couple of times, and there's some things that you said that you've had in the past as an intention, and I thought, you know what, I live in that box and I need to get out of it. And it's that fear-based box where you go, no, I'm afraid to go out of it, so because I don't know what's going to happen. And that's one of the things I've actually been meditating on and thinking about a lot. And I put that on my list.
I'm going to add it now. Being guided by fear.
Yes, and I don't want to be guided by fear anymore. I'm afraid of doing things. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I can, I should be reaching out more than what I am, signing up for more than what I am, and I'm afraid what's going to happen. Well, what's going to happen? I'm going to spread loving light energy is what's going to happen. So it's okay, but it's more than okay. So it's one of those things that I have to just get out of that box and go, no, I'm going to establish this and make this happen. And, I love doing it. It's what I love to do. So why am I afraid of it?
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Like I have had Reiki and I've had distance Reiki before. And it's not that the other people were not good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I really felt like I felt you arrive in the room with me energetically, and I felt you with me the whole time. And then when we would talk about what you had picked up on, it was always stuff like, there's no way that you would mentally, intellectually know that that was what was happening for me at that time. But you picked up on it because Reiki is extremely powerful and it has no limits, right?
Right.
What did you have for what is the opposite of being guided by fear? The first word that came up for me is trust.
Yeah,
it's time with trust though. That's just hard for me.
That is a hard one, and it's trusting in yourself, and it's more of what you just said about, your not the ego, but the confidence. It's not that you don't have confidence in what you do. You do. You know what you have your education. You trust you can do this, and whether it's you're a great cook or you're really good at your job, whatever that is, it doesn't matter. And if it's what you love, then you should do it. And it doesn't have anything to do with the ego, but the confidence. I can do it when I'm in it. So it's not a problem, but it's that moment of trying to get more, the more part. And so it's stepping out and going, okay, I have to bring in the intention of, it's not the intention, bring in the opportunities for me to get out of the box. So I want people to call me. I want people to reach out to me and have that, and me say, yes, I'm going to do this. So if anybody reaches out, I'm on a list with, Raven Keys and for medical Reiki. And I just sit there waiting to get a call to go to the hospital, why aren't I signed up at the hospital? I should go find a hospital.
And that's one of the things that I really see, it's how do you get out of that box? I just wrote opportunities to help because I think maybe welcoming in opportunities to help might be the opposite of being guided by fear. So how would you welcome in opportunities to help? Like if I hadn't started this group and if I hadn't started telling people that I can help them with their symptoms and their lifestyle and their, like my weight has stayed very consistent. Last time I weighed in, I was just a little bit under 160. So probably next time I weigh in, I'll be just a little over 160. And the next time I'll be a little under 160. You know what I mean? Like that's a better indicator of health that the weight has stayed relatively stable than if I had dropped down to 155 and been killing myself to try to stay there at a sort of an artificial, arbitrary BMI
Right.
indicator of
Right.
health. So that stability is something that I've been able to cultivate in my own life, which means I can help other women to find that in their lives. And a number on a scale is just one
A
indication.
number. Yeah.
Just a number.
It's
Right?
just
And
a number. Yeah.
detaching from that is important. Uh, and yeah, I really, when I'm thinking about this event, it's kind of this idea of when all this stuff is coming at you, all of these changes. Like I was talking to someone about vaginal dryness and painful intercourse, and for her, she hasn't experienced that yet. Not that she will. I mean, it's not a guaranteed thing that everybody's going to experience. But her take on it was really from that standpoint of never experiencing it. Just, what's the problem? Just go ahead and do it. It's like, well, if you're having pain, you know, maybe don't just go ahead and do it because that's going to cause you pain and your partner doesn't want that for you and you don't want that for you. And then you're going to avoid it even more. Whereas there are treatments available if you can get on treating it sooner, the sooner the better and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that's just, that's kind of like, if you look at it as a pathway, right? So when you start your perimenopause, maybe your heavy periods are your first indicator. And then you start looking for information. And so you're going along in the path and different symptoms are coming up and different things are being tried. Isn't it easier to go along this path if you have someone saying, look out for this?
Right.
Don't ignore that.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And I didn't have that when I was going through that. I'm 62 now, so I'm post-menopausal, but I started when I was about 40 with symptoms of hot flashes that I didn't even realize were what they were. And my mom passed, so didn't feel like I had anybody to go to. And I don't live by any family. So I'm going like, who do I talk to? So, when I finally figured out it was a hot flash and, I could stop drinking everybody else's water at the restaurant, it was just like, it was crazy. And then all the other symptoms. And I think I had all of the symptoms and then I still have hot flashes at 62, but I think they're medically induced because I'm on an estrogen blocker. But I still have them and I just sit there and I'm going like, please, Lord, it's been 22 years. Do I need to keep doing this? And I'm going, it's just part of what is happening. But, I have my ice water with me everywhere I go.
And is hot flash on your list?
Hot flash is not on my list,
Yeah,
but
I'm put hot flash on your list. Put that
yes,
on your letting go sign. And
letting go of those.
letting
But
go to
yeah,
hot flash.
it's been a trip. And I feel like I've had all of the symptoms pretty much on the list. I've had 22 years to experience them all and some induced, but I'm just going, it's gotta, it just feels like, oh, this has just got to stop. Well, it may not. I have an aunt that still has hot flashes and she's in her late 80s, and it's okay. She doesn't have them very often, but she does have them. It's like maybe
Yeah.
once or twice a month, but she knows what they are and she goes, oh, damn, still having them. But that's her biggest issue. The rest is she's dealt with. But I'm just going, what do you do? You
Well,
just
I don't think you slide into that victim mode. That's one of the things that I really appreciate about you just in general. Like, it's not that it's not that shit didn't happen,
Right.
right? Like
Shit happens.
we could sit down and do a comparative list of things that happened while we were growing up, and it would probably be pretty similarly full of just garbage
Right.
experiences that we could probably have lived without. And they
Yeah.
did shape us in many ways. But I think you and I are similar in the fact that both of us, somewhere in our, young adulthood, said, nope, I'm not going to just be a victim of my circumstances. And then those experiences of just dealing with, my mother's alcoholism and the things that happened as I was growing up, and, the different relationship issues that I've had, I'm translating all of that and applying it into this particular box of what is happening right now for me in perimenopause. Although I think I'm in medically induced menopause right now because they've given me a pill to stop my periods, and it has stopped my periods. So I think that I'm kind of in that category now, like medically induced menopause. I have yet to have what I would consider a hot flash, but I have a lot of physical pain. So physical pain, when I was like, what's the opposite of physical pain, right? I mean, you could pick a lot of things like being comfortable, being content, feeling good in your body. But I put as the opposite self-care,
Right. Exactly.
right? Maybe I can't stop the physical pain.
But you can take care of different parts that are happening to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as soon as you turn on that like action button instead of reaction button,
Right.
you're a little bit more empowered, and you're making some choices. So you're going to have your list, your letting go list, your welcome list. I want them in paper. And then if you want to use highlighters or whatever you want to do to make it really concrete, and then I'll do the same, and we'll all share what we're letting go of first and then what we're welcoming in, to focus more on what we're welcoming in. And then when we go through the Nidra and the Reiki, we'll be able to really incorporate those things that we're welcoming in. And it'll take a little bit. I gave us a little bit more than an hour because sometimes people, when they come out of Nidra and Reiki, might be like blissed out,
Mhm.
really
More
relaxed,
likely than not. Yeah.
really relaxed, and the whole rolling over and getting up and going back to day-to-day stuff.
Mhm.
They might need a few minutes, and or also they might need a few minutes to talk about what they experienced, because it might be uh, a lot more valuable than what people are thinking that it is. Because when I was thinking about how do we describe this event in a way that highlights the value of it to someone who would be participating, it's
Right.
extremely hard to quantify this stuff.
Right.
Right? Because it's not like you're going to walk out with having lost 10 pounds and all your hair grew back,
Right. Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
but it's
But you
going to
could
be
have a
like,
lot of aha moments in there, which is going
yeah,
to be what is the most valuable, because you're going to come out of it going like, oh, that's what that really means. That's what that really means. And it's none of this happens overnight. This is a practice. So you practice this thoughts, and those moments when we're going crazy in our heads because everything feels like it's crazy around us and our hormones are just out of whack, that's when we need to take that moment and just say, stop. No matter what you're doing, just stop, stop, stop. Cold, hard stop. Boom. Get yourself, get your bearings and go, okay, take a couple of deep breaths, and then you can move forward, because those moments of complete craziness with our children, our spouses, our work, our strangers who approach us, it
yeah,
doesn't matter. It's just like, okay, just give me a minute. And I've done the mommy needs a timeout thing, or grandma needs a timeout, and given myself quiet time just to say, no, you need to learn that I need this, and you will need this as well. You may not think you do, but you will.
well, I think you're mentoring, right? You're mentoring everybody around you as far as what self-care actually looks like. And that's one of the things that came up for me over, our Christmas season and everything. It gets hairy. And I set a really clear boundary that was just like, I'm not going to do this on the text message, right? Like if you want to talk to me about issues and problems and things that are coming up, I'm probably one of the more approachable people on the planet as far as I enjoy talking about problems. It kind of turns my crank, much to the chagrin of every male partner I've ever had. But, I'm not going to try and do it with little symbols of things that are sitting on a cell phone that, there's no tone of voice and it's easy to take things the wrong way and have things, seem hurtful that aren't. And like you said, it's not like you're going to work on this one thing. Like kindness for me has been, really important my entire adult life. And I've always been kind of looking, and even when I was a child too, like I was one of the kids that liked getting along with everybody. I always tried to, if I couldn't be your friend, at least get along. And that kindness is really something that is sprinkled throughout my whole life. And I'm really disappointed in myself when I can't extend that to other people. But that's part of the perfectionism. So that's on the list as far as letting go of. I don't think I actually wrote the word perfect. So I'm going to write the word perfectionism. And then, if you guys are listening and you come up with any other ideas of what you might want to let go of, or you want to talk about any of this stuff, you can just let us know. I'm going to say the opposite of perfectionism is self-acceptance. Because why can't I just have a bad day and today I don't have it to extend that kindness? Like I'm a human being.
Right.
Any other words of wisdom, my friend, my darling friend, my sister-in-law?
I think that you are absolutely right. We are allowed to have our moments in our days. And I think that if we become more conscious of our behaviors and what's happening to us, it's not us, it's happening to us. It'll make life a lot easier to deal with in those absolute crazy moments. So and they happen, they just happen. And it's just like somebody just dropped it on you and you're just going like, I was fine 5 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. What is going on? And that roller coaster is crazy. So I think that being conscious of the fact that you're on a roller coaster and that it's okay that you have these swings and ups and downs, and sometimes those peaks and valleys are very low and very high. It is absolutely, there's no other word, it's crazy. But being conscious of it and it's saying, okay, this is a peak, oh, this is a valley, oh, this, I'm even right now. Then you can start saying to yourself, oh, okay, when this starts happening, I need to do this. Or when this starts happening, I need to do this. And it takes time and practice and time and practice and time and practice. And there's nothing else. After all these years, I'm still taking a deep breath and going, give me a minute.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of just being alive. But I find that it's so much easier to do that with the support of the other people that are going through the same thing.
Yes. Because
you're not the only one, doing an inventory and saying, well, I haven't won a Nobel Prize and I don't have a doctorate, exactly. Or whatever it is. And
so what did I do?
And then, so much of the impact, like if you look at my daddy, all these songs that he wrote, all these musicians he played with, all these tours, all these albums, what do people say about him? Even the other musicians, they'll say, your dad was so kind. He was so loving. He was so supportive. He was so gentle. And they'll talk about him being brilliant musically as well, if you get really specific. But it's the kindness and the gentleness and the warmth that he brings to the relationships that he has with the people that has really impacted them. His generosity more than anything else. Like I had so many musicians when I first brought Dad to come live with me in Calgary say, your dad is the living embodiment of that idea. If I've got a dime, you've got a nickel. Because there were times when I knew he only had $20 and he gave me 10 and expected nothing. If I paid him back, he was happy, but he didn't expect me to pay him back. And now not everybody can be like that, But did he win awards? No. Does he have a Nobel Prize? No. Has he been recognized by the Governor General like I think he should be? No. All of these things, those things didn't happen. But that does not minimize his impact on people on a personal level. And that ripple effect, you could even argue that I am the way that I am in the world because I had my dad mentoring me and reminding me about being kind and generous and praising me and giving me cookies when I was kind and generous so that I was more kind. Do you know what I mean? Like he really did. This was important to him. Nonviolence was important to him. So whenever anything happened and I dealt with it in a nonviolent way, he would reward me for that.
Right.
And he did design my life in that way. So anyway, I think that we have said enough about all of this stuff and I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. And we are going live via Zoom at 6 p.m. You have to register. You have to pay in advance. There is homework to do. But I'm thinking the participants that end up in the hard participants who've paid their ticket price, we're going to end up starting a small group for them. And then we can support those people on an ongoing basis and plan the next event based on what's happening for everybody so that we can continue to support people to just get better and better and better. And then I'm anticipating that by next year at this time, a lot of these goals, one of them for me is balanced work life, we'll start to really go, oh, you know what? I'm seeing that I have more of that now.
Right.
We'll start to see the fruits of our labor because we're doing it in a consistent fashion with the support of other people who have the same goal.
Consistent and conscious. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I love you.
Love you too.
Okay.
Okay.
Blessings to all.
Blessings.
We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.